June of 1983, I got into a massive motor vehicle accident. June the 19th in Trinidad is a public holiday. So we had gone one bhajan session on the 18th, and because the next day was a holiday, we sang bhajans throughout the night. But coming back home and driving with about 2 or 3 other devotees with me, car lost control and smashed into another one coming at a very high speed in the opposite direction. And the steering came up and hit me in the chest, and I started to cough out blood. I lost consciousness. When I awoke, I was in the hospital, and devotees were pouring tulsi water and chanting the Gayatri. The strangest thing is, I felt absolutely no pain. And after 3 days, I was discharged from the hospital, and I started chanting the Gayatri mantra, which was the mantra when I came into contact with SAI. That's the only mantra I would use in my meditation. Wherever I am, I would chant the Gayatri. And so in October 1983, this was June, a group of 45 Trinidadians came to Puttaparthi for a visit. And Swami granted one interview to the group. The very first thing he did was looked at me and said, "It was I who saved you from that accident." And I said, "Bhagwan," I was so thrilled. I was so grateful that he said that. And then he put his hand like this and he said, "You drive too fast." And then he looks at me and his hand started to go in this circular clockwise motion, and out comes a pendant. Thinking he's giving it to the gentleman in the back of me, I bow my head and he looks at me and said, No, you. So I put my hand out and he drops a silver pendant with his form on one side and Om at the back. He then takes groups of people into the inner interview room, and while he's doing that, the other devotees say, Brother Fize, please show us." And as I was beginning to show them, Swami comes back out of the inner interview room and hits me one lash on my left shoulder, and he says, "No exhibition." So immediately I hide it away. In that same interview, there was one elderly gentleman who was always concerned about my welfare. And he said, "Swami, don't you think we should get Brother Fize married?" So I was just 23 years then. So I jumped on my feet and I said, "Swami, the only way I will get married is if you choose the person." And Swami looks at me and he said, Nahi. He said, "Let parents decide and I will bless." So that was 1983. It took 8 years before that person came. And to ensure and to make sure that this is what Swami willed and not what I wanted, I said, "Bhagwan, you must will, you must give this blessing." So on one trip, I took a picture of the girl. Swami was at Whitefield. It was my very last darshan. And I had written in the letter the girl's name, the wedding date, where it would take place. And I said, "Swami, if you take this letter from me today, then I know you would have accepted and approved of what is in it. And if you don't take it, then I know this is not to be." And as Swami reaches about 15 feet away from me and I have the letter, he stops, turns around and he begins to walk in the opposite direction. And then I said, "Okay, Swami, then that is it." So I start to put back the letter. All of a sudden, Swami stops, turns around, looks straight at me and begins to walk in a beeline straight to where I am. Reaches in front of me, he plucks the letter from my hand. And then immediately I fall at his feet and I begin to cry. And so that is how the marriage was approved. The strangest thing is that was in the month of October. In less than 1 month, I got married on the 24th of November 1991. And not having enough money to come back to Puttaparthi, I prayed to Swami. I said, "Swami, now that his marriage has taken place, we'd like to get your blessings." Remembering what he had said in the interview before. This is what Swami did. Air India had a promotion that everyone who had travelled within a period of time, they would put all their names, and whichever name came up first, they will get a free trip to India. And lo and behold, I get a telephone call saying, is this Mr. Fize Mohammed? I said, yes. He said, sir, you've just won a trip to India. So we journeyed to India. This was 24th of November, we got married. 27th of November, we are going back to Puttaparthi. 16th of December, 1991, Swami grants an interview. And the first thing he does, he takes the wedding rings, puts it in his hand, and he says, I bless, I bless, I bless. And then he gives a little talk on marriage. He says, marriage is 23 hours and 55 minutes of pain and 5 minutes of pleasure. So in my mind, I'm saying, Swami, you were telling me that after I've got married. And then he looks at me and he says, how many children do you want? And then I said, Swami, I want a boy first. He said, why do you want boy? Girls are better. Boy only think about mother-in-law and father-in-law. He said, girls are better. They take better care of parents. They have more love, more consideration. And then I said, Acha, Swami, let it be your will. He said, Acha, I gave one boy, one girl. After that, 2 girls came. So in a subsequent interview, I said, Swami, the last time you said you give one boy, one girl. Now 2 girls have come. And in true Trinidadian style, he does like this. What can I do? And then he got very serious and he looked at me and he said, I give very good children. Very good children. So that was my marriage interview.